Greetings, everybody. Welcome to the Art Lexcia podcast. It's Wesley Pepper. And it's episode 205. Same old gig as the past 205 episodes. I remember with the last, I did an announcement on the app last week, but we are still working on that. So nothing really to follow up regarding that. And I guess that's it in terms of announcements and whatnot. So today we're welcoming back Lindz Thee Arteest. We actually spoke last week, but there was technical stuff and things didn't go right, so we decided to reschedule. So I welcome her back. She's from the Collector's Choice magazine, so we were discussing everything around that. They are publishing their second volume on the 5th of November, which is later on this week. And we're going to be discussing everything about it. So firstly, my sister Lindz, firstly, good morning and welcome. And welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Grand Rising. It's good to be here. How are you doing?
Pretty good. It's nice and I'm in a good spirits this morning. Nothing extraordinary, nothing. Just I guess just normal. I guess like in 2025, being normal is excellent. Because I don't know, the world's a bit crazy. But yeah, man, I'm all right, man. But let's jump in straight into it, man. So the Collector's Choice magazine. You guys are on your, like I mentioned in the intro, you guys will be publishing your second volume later on this month. Let's start at the beginning. Just give us an overview of the magazine and your involvement in it.
So, I am the founder and creative director of the Collector's Choice. The Collector's Choice is a creative vehicle, basically manifesting as a publication.
Yeah.
The publication's aim and purpose is to represent artists, bring awareness to artists, bring awareness to art, break glass ceilings for certain art sectors. And then it's got a lifestyle section to it. So it's about travel, it's about food, it's about lifestyle experiences, homemaking, all the good stuff. And then it's also very aligned to causes and projects for humanity. So in there, we have difficult conversations. We talk about the liberation of countries like Sudan, the stats of what's really happening on the ground. In our volume 2, we look at the Congo and how to get involved and how to be of aid to those regions. So that's basically who we are in a nutshell. But our entire ethos is really just celebrating creation and humanity. That's what the magazine is about.
Yeah. Again, man, like I appreciate the fact that you guys are talking about Congo and other issues around the continent. I think I mentioned I'm a very proud Pan-Africanist, and I do think that those issues are very much, I guess, under the radar, especially in terms of legacy media. So I seriously appreciate that. But we're going to be focusing on the art. You also mentioned that you guys celebrate artists and feature a whole bunch of them. So from your first publication to the now, can you just give us a highlight of the various artists you previewed and what angle did you look at them and how did you feature them and what did you talk about?
So, our first volume, the theme was spring. So, renewal, a beginning, an emergence. So, with that being the idea, that was basically the theme around it. And then looking at events and artists that basically thrive on that, even if it's not just in that season, but throughout the entire year. So, for volume 1, we had Arlindo Maunde, who's based in Troyville at Victoria Yards. He's been in the art game for a very long time, and it's just amazing what inspires him because he's inspired by people. So it was great to like have a sit down and see how that spills into artwork. And then we had our emergent, Kanyisile Mashangu. So she's an emerging artist. She's establishing herself, and just seeing the different aspect of how she uses senses in her last series, sight, feeling, all of that. Seeing how she's bringing it into her artwork was actually quite amazing. And also hearing what her inspiration behind that was. I don't want to give it away. It is in the magazine. It's in our volume 1. So that was absolutely lovely. And then because we love Johannesburg so much, we are Josie fanatics. We basically went into Josie CBD and we got to experience an exhibition at Asisebenze, which is an art house and art gallery. They've also recently opened a
Yeah,
gallery within
yeah, I saw
Johannesburg.
that.
So it was quite amazing to, yeah, so it was quite amazing to be a part of the space and experience, I think, a very interactive, very engaging exhibition because there was sound, there was poetry, listening to indigenous instruments, and then experiencing a really beautiful curation and really beautiful art from Spamandla X. So those are the artists we feature. And then we even had a look at a graffiti artist, a calligraphist, Neil Schumann. Um, so he's from the Netherlands, Germany, and he was doing a show with the Kalishnikov Gallery. But during that residency, he basically used Grayscale as his workspace. So Grayscale is a graffiti gallery within Johannesburg, within Braamfontein. So it's very nice for us to merge all those worlds together because sometimes we see that there's division and there's glass ceilings between. But because we celebrate art and we don't see division, it was nice to basically feature everything within the artscape despite the barriers, just breaking those barriers and having that single conversation of this is what we saw at this space from an art perspective.
Interesting about the different, like how you phrased it about the art being not, of being different, and that I think that's also just to do with marketing, so people can sell it. It's actually quite an interesting conversation, and I think one should actually explore that because honestly, I think it all should be more. I don't think our industry is strong enough, and I mean in terms of like the turnover every single year, in order for to successfully exist in like these little small little groups, little niche, each little, like for example, graffiti can be seen as such a niche little genre, if you want to call it. Um, I see it on par with everything else, but anyway, I've just that is just something personally I've got a bit of a gripe with. You also mentioned the way you Asisebenze. Interesting. Just before we move on to what's your take on the gallery? Wow, how was it? What is the show like? What was the what is the what is the atmosphere like? And yeah, also anyway, one step at a time. You can go ahead.
Okay, so curation one I think is very important because a lot of people can label themselves curators in our day and
Oh yeah.
age, which is understandable.
Oh yeah.
But then but when you get to experience the curation that was done for Spamandla X's show, it's quite amazing because it's down to the very last detail. That's how you know that the curator really adores the art that's on display and adores the experience that you need to experience with the artwork. So Nolan Stevens curated the show. It was really amazing. He actually made me laugh because he had, so like part of the aesthetic is like the pipes,
Mm.
and then he basically drew inspiration from X's artwork and applied it into the space itself. Like the pipes were like a callback to colors in the artwork. So that was quite amazing to experience because sometimes with curation nowadays we okay with the walls being bare. So it was nice to see that artist and curator came together and they're inspired. And my favorite part about Pamandla's work at the exhibit was basically seeing reflections of myself because I am a woman of color. So it was quite amazing to walk into a space and just see women of color, people of color just displayed in absolute elegance. So I absolutely love that. And I I might be biased when I say this. I love black and white. So seeing them being depicted in black and white with bright colors, that was very amazing. It's I love that. I love that. It's a signature in Spamandla's work. And I just love that it was so amazing to experience because you were really engaged. Like each piece took you on a journey. You wanted to find out what the inspiration is. How do I see myself in this piece? How do I relate to it? So that's what made it really amazing is that the art spoke to whoever was there. Whether you resonated or whether it changed your perspective on how you see a certain group. So that was amazing. And also just I really like once again, I really loved how the curator and the artist came together to inspire each other and inspire the space.
Interesting. No, I love. Yeah, that's great. Thanks for that, Lens. That was very cool. Yeah. Yeah. I actually my brain is wired in such a way where I want to talk more about the show and other stuff about the show and other artists, and that's gonna completely remove us from what we are. So I must say, as a podcaster or doing it for so long, I've sort of worked on that skill on just trying to keep it on one topic, even though I desperately would like to talk about the art, because especially the part of the like how you see yourself in it, I would like to explore that, and the black and white. And anyway, the collector's choice magazine. Okay, so you guys, I remember in our last conversation you mentioned about the traveling aspect. I thought that was very cool as well, and the food um, element to it. I thought that was really cool. So can you just expand a little bit about that? Just break that down for us.
Of course. So our food section or department is called Also Decadent.
Good name.
Basically dedicated. Our slogan is indulge in the moment or indulge in the moment. And it's about really enjoying food. We lived in such a fast-paced society that we're not even present when we eat. We're eating while we're working. Even when we're not working, we're working in our minds while we're eating. So it's about getting back into the kitchen, getting in touch with your ingredients, eating seasonally. We're very eco conscious, and we try to align with the narrative as much as we can because we know it's not always possible for everyone, but we try to align with the narrative of eating seasonally and then looking at how you can elevate your seasonal ingredients. So with volume one, we basically looked at what was in the spring harvest. What can you make with what's in that basket? With this one, we're looking at the summer harvest. Our volume two, we look at the summer harvest and we're like, okay, what decadence can we have ahead? And it's ahead of the festive season.
Yeah, I
So,
was gonna mention that.
if you want to add something new, if you want to add a new tradition, to your festive lunch, well, there's some recipes in there. Even some fun desserts for the kids to help you make. So that's what also decadent is. Then we have Sonora Visa. Sonora Visa basically explores the countries that us as South Africans can travel to without a visa. And through that, we basically get to navigate the place or the destination with a local so that we get a true authentic experience. In the first one, we traveled with Vinny. So Vinny was a South African expat for a while. He was with us in SA for over a decade. And then he takes us through his journey as he's going back to his homeland, Chile. and he makes the best tamales, I have to say. Um, so he's a chef and travel enthusiast, adventure enthusiast, and he takes us through Chile, and we get to experience everything that makes it authentic. We get to experience the fact that it's at the coast, it's the jewel of the Pacific, the graffiti in the streets, the street art, because it's very known for that, down to where you can get a really delicious piece of yummy that is aligned with Chilean culture. So it's really just fun. We're basically merging Sonora Visa to enjoy the travel destinations.
That's fucking. You mentioned we a lot, man. I know you said you're also the founder in it. So could you just tell us about some of your other team, some of the members of your team, and who are they and what do they do?
Yes, of course. So we have a very small team, and the magazine thrives on collaboration. The core theme is myself and Madre. So Madre is our head interior corner writer. She's an interior designer, founder of interior designer company as well. And then we have Hope. Hope is a writer, adventurous. So she handles our local experience pieces. So in the last one, she walked us through the Eastern Cape. In the upcoming one, she takes us through the Cedarburg, just for us to understand what you can experience there. So basically, she helps us enjoy and journey through the beaten track.
Mm.
And then another huge part of our team, it's like a styling collaboration, is Art with Hearts. So they do eco-friendly art, like all their arts. So it's a platform, you can visit it, www.artswithheart.co.za. You can buy art that's been upcycled or being created with upcycled material or recycled material. So they are a large part of our team as well. They educate us on basically how to empower the process of waste management. In the first one, so this is very close to all our hearts, is like dignifying the reclaimer. So in the first one, we have a short story of how appreciated it is when you're basically sorting your waste for the reclaimer. So putting your bottles in one bag, putting your general waste in one bag, and rinsing your containers out so that it still has value when it gets to them. So all of that, we look at all of that. So yeah, with our new founded collaboration or expanding collaboration with Art with Hearts, we actually dive into the artists who are creating with, boxes, paper, bottles, cans, lids, metal lids, basically. So there's so much we're getting to experience with that. And then the rest of it, oh, and then we have a healer, Sahai. So she writes for us as well. um, so she basically writes on instinct, and she does her thing. So as she's moving through a space, she'll be like, okay, this is the piece that I can give to you. And then the rest is collaboration. We collaborate with our tour guides from the different Sonora Visa countries. We collaborate with writers to tell us their experiences. We've got a section called the Experience Journal. And we're introducing something really exciting. In our ethos, we love the fact that we can watch theater and we can engage with dance that way, contemporary dance, or even just walking a mile in someone else's shoes. So we've got Nolan Stevens writing for us on that part. So we're very excited for that. But yeah, most of it is collaboration. So it's the spirit, it's the core team, and then it's the spirit of collaboration. And then our design and layout is done with on-foot creatives. So they power us basically. So they do the design, which is, quite exciting because they do the design, the layout, and basically the curation of how it goes.
Yeah, just a point of the design. I think that's very cool, man. I was going through your all your pages, your social media pages. There's also a very clean I would say a very, I guess, a very trendy 2025 kind of look. The font, even that light grays and all of that. I think it works well. It's also for me as an artist and as an entrepreneur. It's very interesting. We mentioned earlier on with the show at Asisa Benza how Nolan kind of used those pipes sort of to break that monotony of that clean white wall. That's just something that I personally find quite interesting. How art has always been, I guess, exhibited on a fresh, clean wall. Um, man, and I'm drifting slightly off topic here. That's just something I think we can experiment more with that, man. Because we're living in such a visual age with such fast-moving images. I mean, our brains are being rewritten because you're constantly scrolling images. So just to have to this monotony of a let's say a large 3 by 5 meter wall. Yeah, man. I think that's kind of doesn't really speak to 2025. But anyway, back to our uh, we mentioned offline, and this is something very cool that I'd like you to expand on. We spoke offline about you guys. You wanted the you were talking to your lawyer. The artist had to re-look through their contract because you guys are very big on protecting the artist. Please explain that to us. And how do you guys do it? And what does the contract say, and what do you protect, and how do you protect, and that type of thing?
So, an extension of the collector's choice basically is to represent some of the artworks that we display. So, it is called the collector's
Yeah.
choice. So, if you're going through the curation and you're interested in a piece that you want to collect for your collection, then you obviously get in touch with us and say, okay, I'd like you to facilitate myself collecting this piece from the artist. So with that means we need to represent the artist. With representing the artist means we need to protect the artist's interests as well as the collector's interests. Um, but most importantly, so this is a very important aspect for us, is protecting the artist, making sure the artist isn't exploited, making sure they're getting paid fairly, making sure that if a commission is taken, it's not over the top, it doesn't eat and prolong the
Yeah.
stereotype of a starving artist.
Yeah.
So basically, our idea is to make sure that the artist is well represented, the contract covers them well within the sale, um, and also that we don't prolong the idea of you need to be a starving artist because it's not necessary. So basically, that's what the contract is around. It's just like, how are we representing you? How are we protecting you? And what can we facilitate within the sale? So, for instance, if we're shipping your artwork, can we apply an insurance to shipping your artwork? If we're shipping your artwork, are we making sure it's packaged properly? A lot of the times, I recently saw something that was distressing. Was an artist that sent, I'm not going to mention the company, but they sent their artwork through a certain courier provider, and when it got to the collector's home, it was covered in paint,
Right.
like paint from different courier ships. So basically, the artwork was damaged on arrival. So, looking at stuff like that and seeing like how can we better align with couriers that actually specialize in transporting, art and all of that stuff. So it's looking at all the technicalities that allow an artist to make sure that their artwork is respected, it retains integrity till it gets to the collector, and then the collector is also protected to make sure that when it gets there, should there be a boo-boo, like it's covered in paint, they are also well taken care of. So that's basically what the contract is about.
Interesting, man. I again, like, this is something cool. I feel I can just talk. We can talk about on and on. Yeah, I understand you don't have to mention the courier's name on here, but I have with Gallery 360. We have found the South African courier services are not as not as easy to get along with, and just the back end of the websites is actually it's not that great. So that if any courier services are listening to this, there's definitely a need. I would say a need, not a want, for them to be more aligned with the arts, especially given that everything is moving on to a more e-commerce thing, and that's disgusting to find an artwork that gets there and that's paint on. That's actually I can't think of a worse thing. I mean, that's completely damaged. I do have one question though. I think because as I'm talking, I'm thinking, let me just keep it simple, and because there's a few other things I'd like you to I want to ask. When you say you're representing the artist, does that mean you only represent them while the current edition is out, or how does that work? So if they feature on the first volume, does your relationship with them is it indefinite, or how does that relationship work?
Oh, our relationships are open. So as long as we represent the artists as long as we can within the magazine,
Mm.
obviously. Some of them are we have an exciting update. Um, we'll share it. Keep a lookout on the socials. But we're expanding in a way so that we can actually have progressive and prolonged relationships where we still cater to the artist, we still take care of the artist, we still represent the
That's
artist,
interesting.
we still bring awareness to
Mm.
their art. Yeah.
That's very interesting. That's very interesting. Again, that's a topic we can talk for another half an hour about. But like I said, uh, the art, the collector's choice. So I want to get into volume two. I remember with our previous conversation, you talking about the graffiti artist Falcone. You featured him. You also mentioned Nolan Stevens, and you mentioned uh, the seasonal theme around food, given that it's also close to the festive season, summer in South Africa. So, can you give us some highlights of the second issue? What are the standout features? And yeah,
Ooh, they all stand out. But sure. That's a big one. That's a big one.
the first one that comes to your mind.
Sure.
I think that's simpler because yeah, if you must unpack every little thing or don't overthink it is kind of what I'm hinting. And then in that you're overthinking.
I hear you. Um, I'm very excited for the fact that we get to feature Falco,
Mm,
the
mm,
fantastic. So that's very exciting because it's been such a journey. I remember the first time I saw a piece, one of the elephant pieces, like over a decade ago in Newtown. So it was very exciting to actually have a seat and just have a conversation with him basically and just explore like what was his inspiration, what's been his inspiration, and how's his process evolving. So that's definitely a highlight. Um, our emerging artist is a visionary. His name is Ntobeko. Very exciting, very different art. Very. I was talking to a colleague the other day, and we were talking about how art is starting to look very alike in South Africa. So it's very exciting when you get to engage with artists who are doing something out of the box and not following the status quo. So he's definitely one of those. Um, we have recipes that are inspired by a peach tree in someone's yard. So that's also a highlight. Um, and then there's Josie Inspo. There's always going to be Josie Inspo. So that's always a highlight for me. And then sure, our theater piece or pieces being launched. That's very exciting. And I was reading through yesterday and I was like, it's so ironic because the show is called A Begin. and it's the start of us launching this. So that's very exciting. And there's a lot. And oh, there's this one also really stands out to me is that another one that stands out is channeling the rebel's whisper, which is a way to bring graffiti into our everyday spaces.
Okay.
Whether you're sitting in a restaurant and looking at a graffiti mural, or how to bring it onto furniture. Like there's lots happening within the graffiti artscape at the moment. So also just looking at that, I can go on the whole day about all 52 pages.
Yeah, no. Like I said, just highlight one or two is fine. I also think just for the listeners, it'll give them something to. Yeah, because the way you speak, you kind of want to know what else is featured, so that's kind of for the viewer, the listener to follow up. So I think let's just end it there. Otherwise, again, we can just go on and on and on. But just an interesting thing about the graffiti thing. That's pretty cool. How they use graffiti in like sort of in other forms of, like you say, decor or other forms of design, interior design. I think that's interesting because graffiti has got a very specific aesthetic. It's also regional. Geography I know plays a role. Very interesting. Also the fonts. I always just an interesting point. Like growing up, with me, I guess graffiti was probably the first thing that really, and I mean, I'm like early teens type of thing, like being a real lighty. I would say graffiti was that and comic books was probably the most visually stimulating images, and it really moved me. The color, the font, the even. I mean, I still use some of it today, as you can see somewhere here. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Again, like I said, the font, I think that's very cool. Anyway, you say that the volume will be coming out on the 5th of January of November. I remember in our previous conversation, this topic or this thing came out quite a bit. Is you guys, the magazine is available digitally. It's available on your website. You can go look at it out there. And to my viewers, I'll put all the information down below. And but you also use print on demand. So yeah, explain how that process works.
So if it is a collector's item, so if you'd like to have a copy, like a physical copy, you basically send us an email and you order print on demand, which means we print it as we're not printing large and then, resulting with maybe magazines that don't get collected. So it's like as you're requesting it, it's printed specially for you. We are trying to look at in future collaboration where we are actually curating down to the page, because in the design, what we've done is we've looked at different textures. So we're trying to pull that through into the physical copies where it's recycled paper, it's linen board, it's all the different types of papers that speak to the article, that speak to the curation.
Yeah, that was very interesting.
So that's what we look.
Yeah, and I remember I think we got cut the last time when I wanted to ask about that. Just explain to me the binding of the book. Is it standard saddle stitch binding, or there's also very interesting ways with rope and there's very very creative ways of binding. How does is that also part of the package of the Collector's Choice magazine?
So for now, we're doing saddle stitch, but I'm not sure how it's going to work with the new one that we're doing, because, like I said, we're changing our way of bringing it to life. So with that being said, we might actually have a whole different aspect to how we're binding the magazine. But for now, we're doing saddle stitch. It's the easiest to
Yeah.
do, and it keeps everything together.
Yeah, and I guess costs also play there, because any other bind will obviously jack up your cost. So let me just get the process. So let me just explain the process, and you can tell me if I'm out, if I'm correct. So the customer goes onto the website, banking details and so forth. They do the transfer, and you guys go and you create the book. You go to the paper makers or the artists. They bind the book, you print it, and then you courier it off. Correct? Um, and it's print on
Yes.
demand. So if you are, let's say you are based outside of South Africa, let's say even Europe or the States, because I know those are big consumers of South African art. How long does the whole shipping process work, locally versus abroad? And you can answer this afterwards. Is there, I guess, like, is your drive mostly to get people on your website, or is it to sell the physical copy?
The drive, it's not sales driven, but the drive is for more people to engage with the magazine, like really enjoy it. So that's the biggest drive, is having people really enjoy and be present with magazines, especially considering media is so fast
Mm,
paced these days.
mm,
We just want to invite we just want to invite our audience to just sit and just really enjoy a read, over whether it's a cup of tea in the afternoon or a page or two before bed. We're excited for that, as long as the reader is present to really enjoy the
mm.
content and the contents of the magazine. That makes the world for us. And if you happen to want to collect a copy, then that's even more exciting. Thanks for buying us coffee. Um, so that's the idea. And then for our international, we have had a magazine sent out internationally. We use Tunnel. They are so amazing. They are so amazing. Basically, if you're a business in SA and you need to send something abroad, please use Tunnel. They are amazing. The support is amazing. Because sending anything out is stressful.
Oh yeah.
But I think when you send it abroad, there's more pressure. It's a lot more stressful. But they just make it such an easy, seamless process. We sent a copy to Germany, and I think it took about a week, less than a week to get there. I can say we concluded everything within a week, but it took about a week, for 4 days, four working 3 to 4 working days, if I remember correctly, for it to get to the collector. So use Tunnel. Tunnel is amazing. It's not paid. I'm not sponsored to say this. I love to plug people into awesomeness. So, but yeah, Tunnel is quite amazing. The service level is amazing. Like if you're having a little bit of an issue, or you think maybe there's a problem with something, they respond so quickly and so efficiently that you realize, "Oh, I'm stressing over nothing."
That's actually pretty cool, Lens, man. Yeah, that's actually quite interesting, man. I think we kind of wrapped up the majority of actually most of the stuff we wanted to um sort of ask with regards to the publication coming out on the 5th. I guess as in wrapping up, can you tell us, like, I guess moving forward, we are in November. The year is obviously over. So with regards to, future volumes, is there anything that our listeners can look forward to? Are you guys working on or conceptualizing the next volume?
Yes, volume 3 has been conceptualized. A theme has been selected. We've already started interviewing the artists that are going to feature. Uh, I uh, I was talking to Nolan actually, and I was like, I can't believe I'm already interviewing people for the third one when the second one is not live yet. So we're basically just running on passion, so it's really working for us. We've basically planned it out up to volume 10, but we've started working on volume 3.
No, that's great. I know volume 10, you only volume 3. That's um, as an entrepreneur, that's very important. So you don't need to explain yourself on this platform. I totally get that, and it's important, especially for funding and so forth. But let's wrap it up there, man. Can you just drop all your social media handles, website address, and if there are any artists who would like to get hold of you, especially with regards to being interviewed, having their work featured, and so forth, how do they go about doing that?
Okay, so our website is thecollectorschoice.online. So you can visit our website there and you can see everything that we do. And then if you want to get in touch with us as an artist, you can email us at art@thecollectorschoice.co.za. And then our social media, we are on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn at the Collector's Choice _ZA. So that's where we're at there. Oh, we're on YouTube as well. I cannot forget. We're on YouTube as well. So please do follow us on YouTube.
Yeah, dope, man. And to my listeners,
Same handle.
Yeah, I will add all those social media handles to the description box below, just in case somebody misses it. And yeah, I mean, we'll be definitely keeping a close eye on what's happening here with regards to the second, third, first, fourth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, and 10th volume. I on this platform, just like you are doing, we will also it's me, champion artists working within the ecosystem, especially entrepreneurs. I think that we are very underrated. I think art entrepreneurs are definitely the most resilient people in the world. I would think we have a resilience that is completely unmatched, and always our ability to be creative and to constantly come up with solutions. I think that makes us an asset. It's just that the rest of the world doesn't see it like that, but that's for them. We celebrate each other, and man, this is great, man. So all the best for that. I'll definitely publish this on the so I'll premiere it, like I said, usually I do it 10:15, 10 o'clock. I'll do it then, and I'll be up. I'll definitely hit you up when it comes live, and we'll be promoting it for about a week or so. And yeah, thanks for coming through my system, and all the best.
Thank you so much. I had to ask you one question.
Please.
Since you went to the magazine. I wanted to ask you, what was your highlight from volume 1?
Well, look, yeah, I'm a.
Sorry, I'm just plugging it.
No stress. Well, I'm a visual guy, and I didn't read everything. I browsed through it. Firstly, you mentioned, and this is also something that I found interesting. You mentioned you want to engage the viewer more with the magazine. You want them to be more engaged. Yeah, I definitely see. I used it that. No, I get that. That comes through. I'm not sure if that's because you mentioned it before or because I saw. I'm not sure which one came first, but I don't think it really matters because that's definitely what came through. It's also interesting how you guys. I think the food section is also very interesting. Mostly because, again, and this is coming from an entrepreneur at an artist perspective, I know that art has got a lot to do with our senses. So sight, taste, smell, touch, and so forth. And if we could have a platform that engages all of those senses, I think that makes it. I think that makes everything pretty interesting, and that's something that I'm personally invested in. So, in fact, I'm gonna text you. I don't really want to make an announcement like that while I'm recording. It seems a bit weird, but you'll see a text from me. I think that's pretty interesting. And well, I'm gonna go read through your interview just to see what your style of interviewing is like. But yeah, I think those are the things that really stick out. And like just the overall look and feel of the. I'm actually on it now. I like that, man. It's also designed for portrait, which is interesting, because I know the landscape format. It actually changes the way you read. It changes the way you sort of interact. I thought that's very interesting. Um, yeah, it's also short and to the point. A lot of times, not well, mostly more with media type uh, websites. You can get lost with too much text, which is actually an interesting thing. And again, I'm personally invested in that. Is that I think that text is very important, and given that we know you feature writers and so forth, but there's also an attention span problem we have, especially moving forward, with future generations. So I think that's very interesting how writers are going to sort of rework their writing skills to sort of to match that. And yeah, man, I think I mentioned the background. It sort of looks like it's coming from a mainstream art gallery. The light grays, the white, the black. The white on black text works very, very well. And the cover, the cover, the cover stick out. Again, it is drawing from this thing is, you know, I would say this Instagram effect or TikTok effect. We have constant, so color, texture, those things matter. Those things matter, and that's how you get people's attention. Because, like you, and I'm referencing what you said in engaging the viewer. Color, texture, I think is very important, and that's something, again, like I'm personally invested in that, and I'm also very, like, I wanted to ask a few other really technical stuff. Yeah, nah. I wanted to get like really technical, especially with regards to people's attention. I think that's key for our industry moving forward, given that we're in 2025, the rise of AI slop, and just general e-commerce, lifestyle, let me just call it, or even communities. Because I do think that, and I don't have the data for this, man, but this is just my experience and talking to many artists, is how people view art in person versus digitally. I'm very, very interested in the dynamic of those two and which one, because like it or not, we are moving in that direction pretty fast. In fact, technology is evolving so fast, and the art industry has not kept up. In fact, we are lagging, according to me and to the information I have, behind every single other industry. And that's something I'm personally invested in. But again, I can go on and on and on and on. When I say I'm personally invested in, I will holler at you with that, um, 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 privately. I'll do that via WhatsApp. But yeah, I think it's great, man.
Yes.
Yeah. Any other question?
Um, with the app that you're launching, how are you bridging the world between not being able to experience the artwork physically? Because sometimes you want to go to the exhibition, but you can't make it because you're on the other side of the planet. So how
That's
are
a
you bridging those two worlds in your app?
that's a there's no straight answer for that. There's no one. I can't give you one line, and it's all. I mean, because I think the best way to answer will be like this: is that's why I started the podcast. One of a few other reasons why I started the podcast was to talk to artists, and every week, and to get and to ask them about various questions about how they market and basically live online. How do they sell their work, and yeah, basically use social media and technology in general. So I've been sort of talking to artists every week. I'm getting a little bit of information, and when I mean artists, I'm meaning everybody. So from theater practitioners to writers to poets to musicians to visual artists and so forth. Because I think there's something very interesting how everybody sees art. What I have noticed is that people actually not very queued up. They usually want to leave all of that to either the art gallery or so forth. And the art gallery, their online platforms, according to me, is very static. It's incredibly. It's not engaging. It doesn't say browse and scroll up and down. It says look at maybe the first page, maybe the second page, but not the third or fourth. There's nothing that says keep scrolling. So clearly, their thing is marketed at a very niche audience, or let me just say demographic. They clearly, obviously, know them, and they know their financial how they spend their money, and it's sort of designed to that. So we sort of tracking all of that over there and seeing what and how, because technology also comes into play here. What type of tools is available, and it needs to be available on all type of devices. So now we have Android 15, Android 17. There's also iOS. There's different tools that work different on different platforms, so that's also important. But in moving forward, I think video is definitely is important. Video. And I can't really make that call now because it'll have to see how artists use the technology. Are they use the tools that we have, because we want to keep upgrading. With new the long term vision, and this is not really me dreaming. This is very much a reality, but there's still lots of, it's gonna take a long time to get there. Is that is virtual is VR rooms, where the user just to snap on his or her headset and they get to interact physically, well, at least digitally, with the artwork. I do think that is probably, um, and there's also augmented reality. That's also pretty cool.
Hi everybody.
But I
Yeah,
know
man.
that's
Sorry about
also,
the
your
recording ending
device.
so abruptly. Some stuff is out of my control.